Cesar Purisima is the Secretary of the Department of Finance of the Philippines. He's here talking to us about the work that he's got cut out for himself in terms of reducing the debt of the country and increasing its revenue capacity. Thank you very much for speaking to us today. Give us a sense of the objectives that you've set for yourself, on both sides of the balance sheet, collections and debt reduction.
Well, Emmanuel, before I answer that, let me give you an even bigger picture, the agenda of President Aquino, which is really to reduce poverty in the Philippines by accelerating economic growth rate. We're one of the few countries that has continued to grow since 1998, even through the global economic crisis, albeit at very low levels. And that's where
you never
the challenge.
Growing in that.
Yes, but we need to grow around 7% on a sustained basis for many years if we are to attain the objective of President Aquino of really reducing poverty in the Philippines. And he's come up with a program that some refer to as Aquinomics, with 4 pillars. The first pillar is fiscal sustainability and macroeconomic stability. The second is really reducing infrastructure gap, allowing for businesses to be able to improve their competitiveness in the Philippines. Third is simplifying procedures and processes to ease doing business in the country. And finally, to continue investing in our people, which has really been our main source of competitiveness in the past. Now, in my area of responsibility, which is on the fiscal part, our goal is to reduce the deficit to 2% of GDP by the end of 2013. And we believe we're well on the way towards doing that. When we took over in June of last year, the deficit was way beyond the program already. In fact, most analysts were saying we were going to have 4.2%. But we came in below what their projections were. In fact, even lower than the program of the previous administration, which was 3.2% of GDP. We came in lower than that. And our program for this year is 2.6% of, 3% of GDP. And again, we're within that. And we did this 2 ways. First, by implementing zero-based budgeting on the expense side. And second, by improving administrative efficiency in collecting taxes. On the tax side, the President has a promise of no new taxes until we close or reduce the holes in our system. Based on our calculations for the first 12 months, we've improved collections close to $2 billion, 75 billion pesos. And that's really by close coordination of the 2 revenue agencies, by using public information to help us target tax evaders and smugglers. I believe personally that all transactions have mirrors, market share data, data from other countries, and you can manipulate this to arrive at expected taxes from industries or companies. And we're building the IT, training the people, and developing the processes so that this can be sustained. On the expense side, in fact, I think we've overdone it, except that the key really is reducing wastage and corruption. We believe that even with the same amount of expenditure, you're able to get more benefit to the public. I'll give you a very simple example. The project approved in the previous administration, 18.7 billion pesos worth, dredging of a lake. And the President stopped it because the volume of mud dredged would be back in 3 years. Because the source of the siltation has not been addressed, which is the denudation of the watershed, as well as the human settlement around the lake. So the President said, we're just wasting $18.7 billion. And again, from the low interest rate environment, from the debt swaps we did, and again, the improved confidence in the Philippine government, we were able to reduce interest expenses. Just in the first 4 months, that's down 23 billion pesos, which is almost equal to the conditional cash transfer program of the president in supporting the lowest quintile of our population. And that's really at the heart of our strategy. It's really not being Scrooge or anything. It's being smart about the whole process, increasing revenue and deploying the hard-earned revenue to make sure that it's aligned to the programs of the president. We haven't fully achieved the ideal situation because we're investing in the bureaucracy. Remember, we just brought in ministers, that the bureaucracy is the same. So we have to invest in them, invest in technology, in the culture, in the training. This takes time. But we've had results already. As a result, we've been upgraded 4 times, with Fitch putting us a notch below investment grade. Honestly, I think we should be probably closer to investment grade already.
Today, because of your capacity to pay and the fact that
Many
you've
things.
never defaulted.
Never defaulted. We're a net creditor country. Our foreign reserves of $71 billion and growing is bigger than our foreign debt. Our debt to GDP officially is around 51%. But if you net off the bond sinking funds that our law requires us to maintain, we'd be closer to 42%.
Which then begs this question: is the Philippines a slave to foreign debt in terms of its inability to build its own domestic capital market and to, in fact, facilitate FDIs to take up some of the slack?
Well, actually, that's very far from what's happening, no? From the truth. In fact, our borrowing program this year is only 25% foreign, 75% local, and it's been increasing ever since. There's enough liquidity, actually, in the local capital markets to fund our deficit, except that I believe it's prudent to maintain our investor base. Maintain investor relations, maintain our, you never know when we will need them.
Right. Your picture of the whole overall picture in terms of the big picture of the projects that you have in mind on the fiscal side begs a few questions. I guess you gave a snippet of your refocusing your investments on productive activities such as the civil service and the work that needs to be done on that front. But as a politician, don't you see, or do you see the need to also be investing in some very visible productive assets that the population can get a sense that this government is taking us somewhere with the fiscal prudence and support.
Oh, definitely. I was just describing the first pillar, which is fiscal sustainability and macroeconomic stability. The second pillar, which is infrastructure, reducing the infrastructure gap, I think is what you're referring to. And the president actually launched a PPP program immediately after taking office, building on the experience of the Philippines in the past and learning from mistakes then, with a focus now more on solicited projects so that there's more transparency to the process, so that projects that we launch under our program will stand scrutiny even beyond the term of President Aquino. We have identified 10 projects. One is already up for tender. We're a bit delayed because of the need for feasibility studies, and we want to make sure that we do the right feasibility studies. So hopefully we can launch about 5 this year and many more next year. The key is building this framework that would go for sustainable process of PPP. And we have a very ambitious plan. It cuts across the tourism infrastructure, agriculture infrastructure, mass transit, water, power, really to improve infrastructure across our country.